Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, it's a big red day, ladies and gentlemen. But if you have been watching the last few videos, over the last, week or so, I've been saying that I do believe we are going to have some type of pullback. And, sometimes there's certain times where things kind of line up in terms of structure where they look good, but then it happens where there's a lot of liquidity. And I'm like, well, I know this is going to get swept. And I'm going to show you a very quick example before we go back to the other chart. So pretty much sometimes, right, we have something like this that happens. And for me, even though technically it's very nice where we see, lows going higher and higher, when we are near certain bottoms, it usually does indicate that we will get some kind of sweep, at least taking out the first two bottoms. Sometimes, usually even the third, right? We go something like this. This is pretty much called Wyckoff theory, ladies and gentlemen, right? It's when the markets manipulate you to think that, we're finally going up, we're going to reverse, and then boom, right? So sometimes it's super hard to make the reversal call final until structure breaks to the upside. That's usually when you have more confirmation. But look, ladies and gentlemen, it's all good. We expected some type of pullback, right? As we did have a trend line forming this way. And as you know, historically, like I said, the trend lines don't usually hold, right? We have 1, 2 areas swept, and I do believe there will be some type of reversal. Worst case, we should be going back down to 90K before we pull up. Overall, we are in very big structure, right? This support has been building since mid-November, and I do believe we will hold. I personally actually have a leverage position where it's somewhere around here, and I have my leverage position actually just a little bit something like this, and I will be looking to get some type of profit. Worst case, I think I'll be able to pull off a one-to-one, as there is a lot of imbalance, and at the minimum, we should retest back here before we would continue going down. So, great opportunities. You guys can even copy it by the time this video comes out. If price is still in the range, right, you could get yourself a nice one-to-one, a little bit more. Maybe you could play it a little bit tighter, play it for a little bit further. And next thing you know, you almost have a 1 to, 770. So $1,000 to make 1,700. I don't leverage trade on, big exchanges, but I do have funded Forex accounts where they allow certain cryptos to be traded like Bitcoin. So here's my personal suggestion. That is what I'm personally doing, and we'll see how it plays out over the next few days. Generally speaking, I do expect Bitcoin to recover. I talked about how I believe, Sunday, Monday is going to be a dip. And I do believe this week will flip. And if not this week, then next week, because this is going to be the last week of February, right? Overall, when we're looking at February, we can see that we're still holding above this big green zone. This big green zone is very important, right? We don't want to be closing, below here. Optimal, like in the best case scenario, closing above 93,500 would be the best for the monthly candle. But I do believe we are going to have a similar situation over here, right? A very similar situation. But instead of taking 7.5 months, I do believe we will be much shorter and we will be pushing up further. That is what I personally believe. I don't believe we were just consolidating on top of the last, resistance turning into support for months just to have everything crash back again. I personally don't believe so. Now, if we go back to altcoins very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, we can see everything is at a huge discount, right? Last time we had this was pretty much the beginning of February where I bought up. I might buy up a little bit here. I might buy up a little bit because, I'm so tempted, but I don't know. Maybe I'll sit out. I'll have to see. You see something like Radium has dropped 30%. The reason why it's dropping a lot is actually because Pump Fund is looking to be creating their own liquidity pool, which may, cause big harm to Radium, right? Not so good for them. So they might have to innovate and actually copy Pump Fund to counteract, that situation. So we'll see how everything works out. Most of the coins that have gone down are still in our areas or slightly below or slightly above. We go to something like Ondo, we can see, ladies and gentlemen, right? We can see that Ondo has gone to a very nice area. Generally speaking, we thought, going to 105 cents, which still would have been a great buy, but now you have it actually under $8. So even better buys, right? For me, these are fantastic buying opportunities. When we go to something like Turbo, ladies and gentlemen, we can see that Turbo is near the bottoms, right? It is near the bottoms. but it is still holding decently. So we'll have to see and monitor how everything is going. I do believe, generally speaking, especially like Turbo and other coins, that no matter what happens, I do believe we are going to flip, and this is going to be the indication of everything reversing, right? The last few weeks have been consolidating, right? We haven't had this type of price action in forever. Last time we had similar price action was, back in September, back in August, where things kind of went sideways. And, after that, after it went sideways for a while, we did get reversals. So I expect the same thing, right? I expect the same thing. We talked about some dumps happening. So, here they are right now. This is nothing new. This is nothing crazy. ICP literally perfect in our zone, right? So some of the coins are just above our zone. Some of the coins are perfectly in our zone, and some coins are slightly below our zone. But generally speaking, we kind of expected, these coins to be going where they're going, right? We talked about something like XRP. For me, XRP was the big indicator because we had so many coins in a similar boat, and XRP was the one obvious one. We had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 to 8 areas of liquidity. And look at that. We swept 1, we swept 2, we swept 3, we swept 4, we swept 5, we swept 6, 7, and we haven't swept this one technically, right? So 7 out of 8 have been demolished. And that is what the market lives for. And that is what I expect from the markets, right? The markets never are just clean, holding the line like this, right? That's just reality. So, we expected this. Caspa, guys, is in a very, very nice zone, roughly at 9 cents, like we talked about, right? The green box was somewhere around here. Fantastic buying opportunity. So for me, this is just a discount, ladies and gentlemen, right? This is just a discount. This is very, very nice. With something like Render, right? Great buying opportunities near 360. And I mean, look, we are just slightly below 360. We're at 357. So, you know, things were to be expected, right? When I talked about Render the other day, I said, like, hey, look, it is creating lower highs. Market structure, very, very simple. I know a lot of us are tired, right? A lot of us generally want things to be going up. I get it, people. I get it. I am personally like, all in on crypto. I haven't really bought ever since the third. I've been saving some money for just life and other stuff. But I get it, a lot of us are going all in. A lot of us are going risk heavy. And, it would suck if everything would just die today. But in terms of news, there's so much optimistic news. There's so much news in general. And I believe there will be an altcoin season, For me, Bitcoin dominance still has to break structure eventually, and it will. It will. Things just might get delayed. Things might look bad now, but generally speaking, I believe everything will be fine. Um, and that's just the cycle of everything, right? Bitcoin dominance is a big, big factor, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, this is pretty much the head with Bitcoin. I've talked about this before. I do believe, once we get to 69% is when we will roughly be crashing. And once we start crashing with Bitcoin dominance, that's when life will be fun. And until, we don't really do that, then it's gonna be up battle, um, you know, up and down battle. Sometimes there'll be better days, sometimes there'll be worse. I do expect there to be overall better days consistently over the next few months than there has been, in the last 2 months. And yeah, that's it pretty much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.